So I was looking through some of my old annuals to see if I could find something fun to make a video out of, but instead I found this. I don't know why I still have it. I'm not sure how I came by it in the first place. It was probably a Christmas present from some well-meaning relative, but now it's rather a morbid curio. For those who don't know, Jimmy Savile was a DJ and TV presenter. This annual was based on his most famous show, Jimmy'll Fix It, where he granted wishes for kids who wrote in, or rather the production team granted their wishes and he put a medal round their necks with his groovy little fingers. I can't remember if I ever wrote into Jim'll Fix It, but it sounds like the sort of thing I would have done. Anyway, I had a narrow escape, because after his death he turned out to be one of the most prolific sex offenders in history, with hundreds of allegations against him, mainly from underage girls, although he doesn't seem to have been particularly fussy. This annual dates back to 1981, when he was at the height of his success, so I think it makes for an interesting historical document. Obviously this book does contain several photos of Jimmy Savile, so if anybody doesn't want to see that, then I really can't blame you. Watch something else, really. So this is what we're dealing with, Jimmy'll Fix It annual, based on a television series, and that's one of these cheap plastic medals you can get, though he always claimed it was solid gold. One of his many lies. Inside there's a photo of the studio. 6-year-old Timothy Grimshaw goes flying with Eddie Kidd, and with very little help breaks Eddie's own record. So that must have been nice for him. And in the shot of the studio there, written by Roger Ordish, probably not on his CV anymore. On the contents page there's a jolly little cartoon of what's probably supposed to be Jimmy Savile, though it looks absolutely nothing like him, and that's the horrific reality there at the top. Then there's an introduction from Savile himself, where he is literally banging his own drum. Let's see what he's got to say for himself. One of the nice things about doing, I won't do the voice because it's not funny. It's not funny anymore. One of the nice things about doing Jimmy'll Fix It is sending some lucky boy or girl, or even a whole family, off on trips that are really dream journeys, as well as doing some super fix it at the other end of the trip. The trip itself is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Israel, Sri Lanka, Tokyo, the Arctic Circle are just some of the romantic, fun destinations. Of course, I could have gone too if I had wanted to, but I made a decision at the start of the series that it would be better for the lucky person if I wasn't there. That way I would have to wait at home for them to bring back fabulous pictures and souvenirs. That made it a real fix-it for them and made them the real stars of the show. Whenever we film a fix-it on location, the local newspapers and TV stations turn up and say, "Where's Jimmy?" Oh, like he's a Prince of Wales or something. Yeah, right. But I do wish that more adults and senior citizens would write in. Yeah, it's literally a kids' show. Why would they write in? Because I am so busy trying to raise £10 million to rebuild the National Spinal Injury Centre at Stoke Mandeville. It means that the day we record Jimmy'll Fix It is a real day off for me. I arrive after lunch. Yeah, nice way if you can get it. And straight away meet the guys and gals who appear on the show. Oh yeah, straight away, I bet he does. We run through the programme from start to finish. The cameras, sounds and lights can get their positions. That doesn't take more than an hour. And it's tea time till 6:15, when the audience sits in. The show is recorded for real. It's all over in a flash, and there's great excitement backstage as whole families wander about from room to room, getting autographs, talking non-stop, laughing and joking. Then it's home to the great excitement of waiting a few days for the magic Saturday evening when they can see themselves on TV, doing a fun thing in the studio, jetting off around the world. It's a great day for me and one I would not miss for anything. Oh yeah, great day for him, meeting lots of little kids and having virtually no work to do. Okay, moving on. Take a closer look. 2 pages about magnifying your thumb through an electron microscope, which is actually quite interesting. So yeah. And there's the lowest place on earth. Young Allison says, "Please, can you fix it for me to float with the Dead Sea? I don't really think I would." So the government of Israel invited Alison and her parents to visit Israel so that Alison's dream could come true. Alison tried to toy in the sea. It was warm. She walked in further until the water came up to her waist. After that she could not take another step. Her feet drifted upwards and there she was floating on her back. Alison looked back at Jimmy Savile, relaxing in his deck chair. "Come in, it's lovely," she called. "Don't do it!" No, I can't swim." "You don't have to swim, you can't sink here," shouted Alison, running back to the beach and dragging an unwilling Jimmy into the water. I'm sure there's footage of this, but I can't believe it, to be honest. Once he was in, Jimmy enjoyed it too, I bet he did. He asked Alison to fetch the newspaper from the shore and said goodnight to the camera lying on his back in the Dead Sea and reading the Jerusalem Post. Well, I'm sure he had a lovely holiday there. Regardless of what he said in the introduction, it looks like he did actually go on these foreign location shoots. So already he's proved a liar. Don't Watch the Birdies, about two little kids who kept taking photos with their eyes closed, and Lord Litchfield persuaded them to keep them open. Jimmy Savile DJ, in his own words, how he made it to the top. Oh God. So a friend of his had attached a gramophone to a radio speaker, and he said, "I must borrow it to run a dance." And the kid said, "Don't be silly, nobody will dance records." And I said, "Yes they will, because I saw this great future." 11 people turned up at the first dance, paying $1 to get in. It took 10 years for Jimmy's discovery to become an overnight success, but with improved equipment he made a living from the world's first disco. Yeah, 10 years, good. I hope he starved during that time. At the same time, he became a successful dancehall manager for Mecca Limited. How did he get his first job as a radio disc jockey? The short answer is that so many people came to my record sessions at Mecca that I finished up working at head office running 52 dancehalls for records and disc jockeys. My reputation grew, I bet it did, so that one night a man came and said, "I'm from Radio Luxembourg. I've never seen a disc jockey like you in my life," and he wouldn't again. "Will you do a programme for us?" I said, "Certainly," and I started out with one programme on Radio Luxembourg. 5 weeks later I was doing 6 programmes a week. The number of people listening to my programme was astronomical, and businessmen never ignore figures. How did they even check? I don't know. My first time on national television was in the early days of Jukebox Jury. It appeared that I was very fresh and different, and was asked back time and time again. I finished up doing Jukebox Jury 20 times in the first run, and things just grew from there. One day I had a phone call from a man who said, "My name is Johnny Stewart. I'm a BBC television producer. I'm starting a new pop music programme. I would like you to be the first jockey of the programme. Are you going to call it Top of the Pops?" So I'm not sure how much of this is true. It's basically him aggrandizing his own legend. Let's move on. Scrapbook. The Scout eating lunch upside down on the roller coaster. That was actually quite a fun bit of television. R2-D2 meets Daniel on the set of The Empire Strikes Back. That's very nice for him. Wayne Sleeps as Coley Forblick's ideal dance partner. It's anagram page. Michael Hebert is a postman in Bristol and is one of the few adults who's managed to get a fix-it from Jim. One of the few who wasn't put off by his persona. And then we have a guy. Then we have a kid who wanted to be an air patrolman. Nice for him. Salt course, roving reporter. Girl who launched a ship. Okay, now we come to this girl who says Nicola, who wanted to do a speeded up film of him tidy in a bedroom, and they dressed her up as Wonder Woman. I'm not going to show the photos because it looks a bit dodgy nowadays. I'm sure it could have been perfectly reasonable. Wonder Woman was a very popular show back in the day. But if there's even the slightest possibility that Jim just wanted to see a little girl dressed as Wonder Woman, then I'd rather not show it. Danger Man. This girl became a stunt woman. Good for her. Then we have a kid who rode on the Japanese bullet train. 9-year-old red coat. Little boy in a suit of armour. And another 2 pages dedicated to upping Jimmy Savile's profile. In 1980, Jim set out on his biggest fix ever. He planned to raise £10 million so that one of the most important hospitals in the world could keep up its specialised work, the spinal unit of Stoke Mandeville Hospital near Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire. Jimmy says, last winter 4 of our 6 ceilings in the spinal ward collapsed on the patients. There was a panic movement operation, but eventually the damage was so great that the authorities decided the spinal unit would have to be closed forever. At the same time, I was seeing the Secretary of State, Mr. Patrick Jenkins, for tea on an entirely different matter. Oh yeah, I wonder what kind of matter that was. Cleared up some legal troubles, possibly. And he told me he had troubles at Stoke Mandeville. I said, no, you haven't got any troubles. Why, are you going to build us a new hospital, he asked. Certainly, why not? I said, leave it to me. She will fix it. And so he got money from lots of different organisations, raised lots of donations. To raise the target money, Jim needed contributions equal to 20 pence from every man, woman and child in the country. But he did not look at it like that. The statistics on £10 million are so awesome that they are just not possible. If people ask, how on earth can you raise £10 million? I said, you don't raise it, you pray for it. It doesn't actually say how much money he's raised at the time of print, but I guess it all went to building up his image as this big charity guy. Next we have Savile's Ghost Train Special. Here's a challenge, says one of the researchers, holding up a newly opened letter. 6 children have written to say they don't think ghost trains are frightening enough. They want Jim to fix it for them to get a real fright. Yeah, he could probably have done that, no problem. But they wouldn't have been broadcastable. A nice cup of tea. A little boy went to Sri Lanka to pick some tea for himself. Doesn't say that Jimmy went. No, Jimmy didn't go this time. He's probably up to nefarious business elsewhere. And now you have a little girl who wrote to Jim on Fix It asking if she could be a secretary for the day. I mean, for God's sake, dream bigger! You could ask for literally anything in the world. Don't ask to be a secretary, for God's sake. But that was the early 1980s for you. Space Race. I'm not sure why this was in the Jimmy Savile annual. Sort of thing that would be more suitable for the Doctor Who annual. They probably reprinted it in various annuals over the years. I seem to remember this was actually quite a good game, because you had to move your pieces back and forwards while there was bad enemy ships patrolling up and down, and you had to interfere. One of them, you had to go back to the start. So yeah, it wasn't bad. Hot off the press, which somebody went to the printers to see how this book was made, which is all a bit better. The Fixers, which is the people who actually work on the programme. Let's not read out their names because I don't want to incriminate them. And there's a secretary. Elizabeth at 21 is the youngest member of the Jim Fix-It team. So maybe a bit too old for Jim, but then again, he probably wasn't that fussy. up and away, which tells you what you need to be a pilot. Doesn't say that anyone actually wrote in asking to be a pilot, but so what? They just told you anyway. Finally, Kiddo wanted to cook and serve a meal on his train. Yes, and that's the end of the book. Thankfully, there wasn't that much Jimmy Savile content in it. It's mainly about the kids and the challenges, which does make for an interesting read. And obviously, the show never gets repeated anymore, so it's interesting to read it and remember just what it was about. Is it the most evil book ever written? Well, it's probably not as bad as something like Mein Kampf, for example. But it did contribute to the public image of Jimmy Savile as being a good, charitable bloke, which, as we now know, was very far from the case. So it does make quite uncomfortable reading. And that's the back cover. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, then you're very strange. But if you want to see some videos which have absolutely nothing to do with this subject, then please subscribe to my channel. And I realise that's not how YouTube works, but what can you do? Goodbye.